because copyright is screwing me over. I'm going to have to do it this way. Hello, welcome back to another video. Today, we're going to break down the songs off Childish Gambino's Bando Stone and the New World because I can't post a reaction to YouTube because it'll be taken down, the video. But let's get into it, starting with Hearts Were Made to Fly. In the song Hearts Were Made to Fly, he brings up his fame and wealth by saying stuff like, "Everybody knows me, I don't need ID, and she don't know me, she just knows what's on my wrist." He also compares himself to Spike Lee because they both did multiple careers in their lifetime. Like, I think they both did acting and singing. And at the start, it's when he's saying "this joint's fire," it kind of sounds like he's saying Drake's a fraud. And finally, he ends up the song with "Nobody Cares," which is the chorus for Lithonia. Next is Lithonia, which Childish switches between first person view and his third person view of Cody LeRae, who's a character who's. Oh. Next is Lithonia. Next is Lithonia. Next is Lithonia. Ooh. Next is Lithonia. Childish switches between first person view and his third person view of Cody LeRae, who is probably the main character of his upcoming film Bando Stone and the New World, the same title of the album. But most of the song is Childish seeing Cody LeRae figure out that nobody cares about him because the world's ending in the film. So like his singing's like useless to everybody, so it's not really important. And Childish also brings up his hometown Lithonia, bringing up the disconnect between him and the people that live there, which bothers him. It seems like his hometown doesn't care. The next song is Survive. This song is about how Gambino just wants to enjoy the summer, but there are problems in the world that he wants to try to help fix, like climate change. But he also brings up stuff like how streaming doesn't pay much, throw shade at the Fresh and Fit podcast for saying, like, you got a podcast because you can't rap because Joe Budden said Drake would smoke Glover in a skirt off back in 2023. He also brings up his destructive habits of drinking and smoking, but that's practically it for Survive. Fourth is Steps Beach, which is a real place where Glover has been spending most of his summers for the past 2 years at. At the beginning of the song, he admits that he doesn't know or control everything, but he still navigates life with his family. He then brings up someone who preferred the truth over fake happiness, but he still has a desire to be with that person. He also realizes that forgiveness comes easily during good moments and that despite the arguments they will have, that he will remain in love with that person. And finally, he brings up how challenging a journey is no matter how far you go, like no matter how far the distance is, like a mile and 200 miles could still be very different and very, very different in difficulty. And it will never be easy, but you just have to trust the journey. Talk My Shit, pretty self-explanatory. He talks some shit. He brings up his wealth, how haters online will be a fan when they're face to face, and brings up how white boys post TikToks influenced by black culture. And he goes over some other stuff. Got to Be starts with Childish describing his destructive habits, like him drinking and smoking on every weekend that he has during the summer. And he also questions why he still does it, even though he knows it's destructive. Then he brings up the 2020 pandemic, saying if the world's gone down, I've got to see it. He also brings up how Trump freed ASAP Rocky from jail in Sweden. And further, he brings up how he came back in 2020 when he dropped his album 31520, which is a now deleted album. And again, a common occurrence is in this album is him going to bring up fake people online. Real Love is a short track talking about how he wishes a loved one to feel true love because they're ever loving and how he wishes he can show them his real love as well. That's practically it that happened in the song. In the Night, this song is about two people in different relationships longing to be with the other person. They struggle to not think about the other people, and as their love grows, they end up cheating on their current partner with each other, then thinking they don't have time to be with their current partner because they already cheated on them. So there's no point. Yoshinoya, the Drake diss of the album, but first he starts off with bringing up fake people again, like Drake. Then he says, "I put your boy on the seat," which implies he's sunning Drake because Drake goes by the boy. Then Childish Gambino says, "You got your biz in the street. I wash my hands when you eat." Basically, Gambino is implying that Drake isn't as hidden as he thinks he is. Or as private, and he also you can't find dirt on Gambino because he keeps his hands clean. Next, Gambino calls Drake a BD or baby daddy, saying he isn't fully present for his son. Third, Childish says he could find Drake a house on an app, probably referring to the Not Like Us cover art, or being there's markers on his house on maps. Then he threatens Drake to never bring up his kids into their beef. Next, Childish says, "I was busy building up the life that people don't have," saying like Childish was building up a good founding family that have deep bonds with each other, while Drake doesn't have that. Fifth, Gambino says Drake makes poor dad jokes even when he doesn't have the best relationship with his son. Six, Childish says the music industry prioritizes gang lifestyle and mentalities for rappers. So he's saying like people aren't true rappers and trying to fake the hardships they've gone through. And also, this could be another Drake diss because he says they dress up like Comic Con because they're not real. So he's calling Drake a not real rapper. Eighth, Childish says the truth about Drake will come out at some point. It will just take some time. And finally, Childish calls Drake old and rubs in Drake's loss to Kendrick. That's it for Yoshinoa. That's a thick track. Can you feel me? In this song, the ABCs is played in the background, representing how Childish is trying to raise his child right. He says he will teach his son that he can show his emotions because men console their emotions not to seem weak when it really can hurt them. Then he wishes to not have his death be as detrimental to his kids as it was to him, with his father. Next, he says he will stay with his kid and help him instead of getting a nanny. And finally, he drops another Drake diss by saying, "We made a child, you made a mistake," and playing Drake didn't mean to have his son. No excuses. This song is about how Childish Gambino no longer has feelings in the relationship, so the person can move on without him. And he brings up how he's grown up, so you don't have to play pretend with him when you're leaving the relationship. In the song Cruisin', Yeet brings up how children are born in hard places, which can affect them for their entire life. And Childish brings up how he's scared and he feels stuck and he is begging for help. This could be just like the character in the movie. Okay, We Are God next. In the song We Are God, Childish throughout the song makes his own idea of religion and says, "Because we all feel love, we are God," implying that love is God and we all have God in us. And he also says that if you follow love, that you'll end up in a better place in life. In the song Running Around, in this track, he brings up how people were saying that he runs away from his successes, like his comedy show he had and music back in 2020, because it seemed like he wasn't doing it anymore. Then Fauché says, "Don't need to fire at my ops, they dig their own ditches," which implies that the haters are killing themselves, basically. D'Advocate. This song was a short lyric song, but it talks about Gambino working from 5 p.m. to 9 a.m., the opposite from the regular 5 to 9. And he brings up the struggles between both men and women, saying, "You ain't safe being a woman, and it's hard to be a man." So there's not one is harder from each other. They're both pretty difficult to live. Happy Survival is also another short lyrical track, but it talks about happy survival, which is sarcastic because in the movie they're fighting for their lives from laser things, I think, or like a futuristic enemy. A Place Where Love Goes. In this final song, he brings up all his past works, like the line "See Me Spinnin'" could be a reference to the song Terrified off the album Awaken My Love. And he drops one more Drake diss saying Drake was once a king in music, like a lion, in a jungle, but he turned into a snake. Charles then starts thinking about all he's gone through, the hardships and the good moments, and he's finally happy and ready to let go. Because he finally found where love goes, making a callback to We Are God, letting Donald Glover take back over. Yeah, that's it for the album. But originally, I didn't like this album that much. I thought it was quite mid, but after listening it a few times, it started to grow on me. The lyrics are good, and the idea of the album is also good. But I say it's just a good album. That's it. Peace. Oh, I forgot to mention, if you want to see my true reaction to the album, I stream my live reaction on Twitch. So if you want to see that, the link will be in the description. Okay, goodbye.